to your seats. We're gonna start our class.
Jose, you're back. In English, please.
34.
You all think that's so funny?
Estoy cansado, estoy quemado por el sol, estoy lleno de lodo.
¿Tú crees que yo no estoy cansado o que tu mamá no está cansada? ¿Eh?
I'm a bit worried about your children's education.
Señorita, we need money. We need to work.
Miss Young, I did my homework.
You are a force of nature. Nothing will stop you.
Mexico, late 1960s. Before leaving for the United States with his parents, little Jose said goodbye to his huge family. Like tens of thousands of other migrants, they were going to do the kind of work their American neighbors refused to do. Jose returned to the school he attended during the previous harvest season.
34.
The boy spoke English poorly, which made his classmates laugh at him. Still, he was smarter than all of them. His cousin Beta was late to class because he had been working in the fields. The next day, Jose was woken up at 4 a.m. It was time for him to work alongside the other laborers. The family moved from one field to another, and Jose had to keep changing schools. One day, the boy slipped into the mud and lost his temper. His father scolded him. Everyone was exhausted, so there was no time for complaining. The grapes wouldn't pick themselves. Jose and Beta often fell asleep during lessons. They simply had no energy left for studying. Jose kept asking himself one question: why are there stars in the sky? When he saw a rocket launch on television, he realized he wanted to dedicate his entire life to space. Miss Young, his teacher, worried about her young Mexican students. Children shouldn't be forced to work so hard or move so often. But Salvador, Jose's father, dreamed of buying a house, so the family would keep working as long as it took. Miss Young believed in Jose. She told him to follow his dream no matter what. At the end of the season, the family was cheated and didn't receive the full payment. Salvador told his children that these endless fields were their future, the future of every Mexican. Still, maybe Miss Young was right. Jose needed a real education. The house in Mexico could wait. Years passed. Jose studied at university and applied to NASA's space program. Soon, he got a job as an engineer at a research center, although the secretary initially mistook him for a janitor. Beta stayed in the fields. He didn't really understand what his cousin was doing. Lasers, rockets, all that stuff. Maybe it would be better to just grab a beer? But the migrant worker was quickly sent back to work. Either way, Beta was proud of Jose. Jose volunteered to help his cousin and noticed a young woman there. At work, Jose was given pointless tasks, like making copies for everyone. On top of that, he received a rejection letter from NASA. At home, his mother kept talking about marriage, while his father continued working even after his regular shifts. Salvador often reminded his son that they had no house because of Jose's education. Jose sent another application to NASA. He refused to bring his mother's enchiladas to work. He didn't want to be known as the enchilada guy. Like everyone else, he would eat dry sandwiches. Jose decided to sell his fancy Chevrolet Impala and buy something more modest. At the car dealership, he met Adela, the same girl he had seen in the fields. Nervous and stuttering, Jose asked her out. Adela agreed, but first he had to meet her father. Adela's cousins acted like tough bandits and interrogated the engineer. Her father came home late that night and forbade her from going on dates. Jose could only see his daughter under his supervision. These obstacles didn't scare Jose. He and Adela genuinely liked each other. One day, while copying documents, Jose discovered some important information. His boss refused to listen to him, so Jose took matters into his own hands. He ran tests, did calculations, and found a serious problem other engineers had missed. That finally got him noticed. At last, Jose told the secretary that he was an engineer, not a cleaner. His relationship with Adela continued to grow. She admitted that she dreamed of opening a Mexican restaurant in America. And what about Jose? He wanted to become an astronaut. At first, Adela thought he was joking. But no, this nerd was completely serious. The only way into Adela's bed was through the altar. The wedding was packed with relatives from both sides. Soon the newlyweds had their first child, a boy they named Julio. When Julio grew older, the family welcomed another baby. The little girl hadn't even learned to walk yet when Adela was already pregnant with their third. Jose was promoted to a management position, and now the same people who once laughed at the migrant had to take orders from him. One evening, Adela discovered all of her husband's applications to NASA's astronaut program. Why had he never told her about them? Jose dreamed of space, but somehow kept forgetting to buy diapers on his way home. He went to Beta to complain about his wife, but his cousin couldn't understand what the problem was. Jose had achieved everything: a great job, a beautiful wife. Why did he even need space? The truth was, Jose thought about space every single minute of his life. And Adela took her husband's dream very seriously. Jose explained who usually got selected for the space program. Many astronauts were experienced pilots. Others were top athletes, runners, or divers. Jose started training in all those areas, but the rejection letters kept coming. Meanwhile, Adela kept giving birth to more Hernandezes. Years passed. Jose collected rejection letters, while Adela had to give up her dream of opening a restaurant, even though she cooked like a professional chef every day. While she raised the children, Jose kept improving himself, yet the answers from NASA remained the same. In 1999, he even spent time in Siberia as part of an international exchange program. Jose missed the birth of another child. Still, Adela gave him the best advice he'd ever received: apply in person, not by mail. Jose flew in from another state and personally handed in his 12th application to instructor Frederick Sturkov. By then, Jose had earned a master's degree in electrical engineering, obtained a diving license, run a marathon, and learned how to fly a plane. On top of that, he was the father of 5 children, and if they rejected him again, he would come back next year anyway. Jose learned that he had been accepted into the space program during a birthday celebration. His huge family celebrated their most remarkable relative. Before leaving for training, Jose gave his car to his cousin. Adela and the children moved with him to another state. Sturkov warned the candidates that not only they, but their families too, would face serious challenges. Most of them wouldn't finish the program. Only a few would become astronauts. Kalpana Chawla, who had already been to space, trained the candidates using simulators to build muscle memory. That way, they could avoid disorientation in zero gravity. Their minds always had to stay sharp and ready for emergencies. Jose struggled during the pool exercises. He panicked and failed the test. With all the training, he barely had time for his family. Julio waited until late at night just to show his father a school project. Jose was exhausted. His whole body ached, and he couldn't even sleep properly. Adela was tired of her husband talking only about himself. Then Jose got a call. His cousin was dead.
Wait, what?
Beta had been killed in a gang shootout. His niece told Jose that he had to go to space. That was the only way to honor her father's memory. One of the tests involved flying a fighter jet at an altitude of 8,000 meters. Problems with the microphone distracted Jose, and because of that, he and Sturkov nearly collided with another aircraft. Jose began to doubt whether all of this was really worth it, so he asked Kalpana what it felt like to be in space. She said it was magical and unlike anything else, and that she was planning to go back. Kalpana would be part of the next mission. The training kept getting harder. One day, Jose saved a fellow candidate who couldn't unbuckle his safety straps underwater. If the rescue divers had stepped in, the man would have been disqualified. During a run, Jose noticed a building for rent. It was time to help Adela fulfill her dream too. That's how she opened her own Mexican restaurant. One evening, the news showed a report about a shuttle flight with Kalpana on board. Suddenly, the crew stopped responding. Right there on live television, Jose witnessed the disaster. The Columbia shuttle broke apart at an altitude of 60 kilometers above Earth. All 7 astronauts were killed. The cause was a piece of foam insulation that had damaged the wing. Was this a sign? Jose wondered. Should I walk away? But he stayed and continued the selection process. That day, he successfully completed one of the most difficult simulator tests. Only 4 candidates remained. The commission announced that despite the tragedy, Washington had approved another mission. A new crew was being assembled, and Jose would be assigned as the mission's second specialist. Jose returned to the restaurant, already wearing his uniform. He told the commission he first needed his wife's approval. Adela was incredibly proud of him. Jose was officially named a crew member of Discovery. His family saw him off, with tears in their eyes. From that moment on, Jose could only communicate with outsiders through glass. The family had prepared a surprise for him. His beloved teacher, Miss Young, had come to see him. She had waited 30 years for this day, and had kept a childhood drawing of the young dreamer all that time. The entire family gathered to watch the launch. The technicians had just finished inspecting the shuttle. To calm his nerves, Salvador had a shot of tequila. Adela cried and begged her husband to come back alive. Jose remembered the long road that had led him to this moment. 3 hours before launch, he put on his spacesuit. A crowd of reporters greeted the crew. Then came a 25-minute ride to the launch pad. Jose climbed into the shuttle and was strapped into his seat. Adela felt faint and was taken to a nearby room. When she recovered, she looked out the window and saw her husband's triumph. The main engines ignited. The launch structure separated, and Discovery rose into space. Mexican field workers watched the shuttle disappear into the sky. Soon, the solid rocket boosters and the external fuel tank detached. Jose's dream had come true. He was in space. He looked out the window at Earth. Kalpana had been right. It truly was magical. The crew spent 13 days aboard the ISS. In space, Jose ate tacos and listened to music by Sun Rod. Today, Jose still harvests grapes, but now on his own vineyard. He and his father make and sell wine, while Adela is busy building their own home.